Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Sinead Aherne. Today's top stories: 3 people have been killed in a suspected terror attack in France. It's emerged the Department of Justice lost a device containing sensitive information about Waterford abuse victims. And in sport, Dundalk FC are set to play the biggest game in the club's history this evening. A woman has been decapitated and 2 others have been stabbed to death in a suspected terror attack in the French city of Nice. Several others have been injured in the attack at a church this morning, as Kim Buckley reports.
The bells of the Notre Dame Basilica in Nice, where this attack took place at around 9 o'clock this morning, have rang out in solidarity with the victims. A woman was decapitated and 2 others were stabbed to death, while a man who was shot and injured by police has been arrested for the suspected terrorist attack. Nice's mayor is Christian Itrosi.
Nice becoming once more a victim of extremist Islamism. The attacker continues to repeat Allah Akbar in front of us. There is no doubt as to the intention behind his actions.
In a separate incident shortly afterwards, a man was shot dead near Avignon by police after threatening passers-by with a gun. The incidents come 2 weeks after a teacher was beheaded in an Islamist terror attack near Paris for discussing images of the Prophet Muhammad with his pupils. French policing expert Professor Sébastien Rocher says the French president's been accused of pursuing an anti-Islam agenda.
If it's not adjusted, it might trigger repercussions. I think this is what is happening. Over 3 weeks, we have several beheadings. This has never happened before.
President Emmanuel Macron is due to visit Nice, while France's security alert has been raised to the highest level in response to the attacks.
Post-mortem examinations are due to take place on the bodies of a mother and 2 children found dead in a house in South Dublin yesterday. 37-year-old Seema Banu, her 11-year-old daughter Afira and 6-year-old son Fazan were found in their home in Llewellyn Court yesterday morning. They moved to the area in the past year, with both children attending a nearby school. A survivor of child sexual abuse by Bill Keneally in Waterford says it's devastating to find out that sensitive information about their case has been lost by the Department of Justice. The Irish Daily Star reports that a USB key containing personal data was lost in transit between 2 department buildings and was never recovered. It was one of 130 data breaches reported last year. Jason Clancy spoke to Damien Tiernan on Daisha today. He says they weren't informed about the breach.
Private, personal, obviously, information about sexual abuse and what happened and so forth. And to read it on the newspaper, I mean, it's just devastating, Damien. It is just soul destroying that this is, first of all, that it's happened. And second of all, then, for us to be it's about a year ago this happened, and we're hearing about it now in the media.
There's been a broad welcome to the announcement that survivors of mother and baby homes will be allowed access to their personal records. The government has confirmed they'll be legally entitled to their details once it doesn't impact on the rights of others. There's been a lot of controversy and hurt over the sealing of the archives. Children's Minister is Roderick O'Gorman.
I've acknowledged that. I've apologised for not reaching out sufficiently to survivors groups, and I'm in the process now of arranging meetings over in the near future, so we can explain the next steps that the government proposed to take and get input and advice from survivors groups.
An independent councillor in Waterford has expressed concern about anti-COVID-19 leaflets being delivered to homes. The documents have been appearing in letterboxes in Waterford City in recent days and undermine the current public health messages. Mary Roach says it looks like a well-funded campaign.
I'm extremely concerned at the tone of the leaflet, which dismisses trusting experts as some kind of bad thing and really uses frightening rhetoric like forced microchipping and other ridiculous conspiracy theories. It seems to me that groups with far bigger and more political interest in sowing dissent and fear are using the pandemic as cover for their extremist views, and I'm very concerned about that happening in Waterford.
It's unlikely that thermal imaging equipment will be installed in Waterford city centre. Plans to provide temperature checks were announced in June as part of Waterford's COVID-19 economic recovery plan. Lisa Grant is Economic Development Officer with Waterford Council. She says there were a number of issues to consider.
There was just questions around how would it actually work on a practical level, and would it actually be a good investment from a council perspective to have a system in place if, as I said, A, the consumers weren't using it, and B, if the retailers or city centre businesses weren't demanding, I suppose, presentation of proof of your temperature, then unfortunately it would have been a bit of useless technology. If there is value. We're obviously said there's off-the-shelf solutions that are readily available to be cost effective, and we can proceed with that.
The CEO of Dungarvan and West Waterford Chamber says shop local vouchers will help sustain the Waterford economy this year. Businesses in particular are being encouraged to purchase the vouchers as a way to reward staff at Christmas. They're now available to buy online from both chambers in the city and in Dungarvan. Jenny Beresford says they help to sustain jobs.
And you can ask any business that participates. They'll tell you, particularly in January, February, when all those vouchers are being redeemed, how important it is for that cash flow to be in their premises. People can really help secure a future for others by choosing the Chamber vouchers, and they can be used in over 120 businesses, so there's huge amount of scope for where to use them.
2 teenagers were rescued from a sinking craft in the River Shore in Waterford City yesterday. The Irish Coast Guard was contacted after the pair got into difficulty near the old Red Iron Bridge shortly after 4:30. Waterford City River Rescue launched 2 boats, taking the teenagers on board and securing the craft. Sinead Murphy is a volunteer with the group and spoke to WLR's Damien Tiernan.
They were extremely lucky. When our crews got to them, the boat was actually taking on water, and darkness, the evening was setting in. If they'd been there much longer, we would fear that they would have had hypothermia, or if the boat had capsized, worse, because they had no life jackets on. We just want to thank the person who rang 999, because they did prevent a very serious tragedy from happening.
A wet and windy weekend's in store for most of the country. Met Éireann's issued a status yellow warning for the most of the west of Ireland until 6 tomorrow. However, rain is expected to affect most of the country from Saturday until Monday. Met Éireann forecaster Gavin Gallagher says tomorrow will be dry.
So whatever outdoor plans you have, I would advise you to get them done tomorrow, Friday if you can, because it will be a very unsettled weekend. And we have 3 different low pressure systems tracking close to Ireland over the weekend. So it won't just be one system that comes in and affects us. It'll be 3 different low pressure systems. They're each around 24 hours apart. So it'll mean that there's a period of wet and very windy weather right through the weekend for about a 3-day period.
Sports News on WLR.
With Virgin Media Waterford. Want super fast broadband today? Drop into Virgin Media George's Street and take it home with you. Easy as that.
A very good afternoon from the sports desk. I'm Nigel Kelly. We'll start with soccer, where it's an 8 o'clock start at the Emirates Stadium tonight for Dundalk's glamour tie against Arsenal in Group B of the Europa League. David Luiz will be injured for the Gunners, who are expected to comfortably win the match. The Lily Whites manager Filippo Giovagnoli enjoys the way Arsenal play football.
Michael Arteta is an inspiration for us. The way that the style that he wants to implement with Arsenal is completely an inspiration for us. Trust me. The way that they want to build up, the way that they did even against Liverpool, that they are one of the teams that press better in the world. They didn't care. They keep on going to build up from the goalie. It's an attacking style, but through principle of build up, and that are amazing.
Elsewhere in the competition this evening, Celtic are away to Lille and Tottenham have made the trip to Antwerp. On to Gaelic Games, where the 2015 All-Star Tadhg de Burka is set to return to the Waterford defence in Saturday's big match against Cork at Semple Stadium. The Clashmore Kinsale Beg man missed the league with a knee injury. He lost a Western final on penalties with his club Clashmore and says it was the worst way to lose a match.
Yeah, definitely a very bad way to go out. Losing a Western final on penalties is not like the ideal situation, but look, that's the way the game was gone. It had to be played off early and quick, so you just have to accept it and get on with it.
Yeah, you scored one in the shootout. Would you be willing to take one again if the opportunity arose?
If Liam asked me to take one, yeah, I'd take one, sure.
Throw-in at Thurles is at 3:30 and you can hear the match live here on WLR with commentary from Kieran O'Connor and Fergal Hartley, thanks to George Corbett's Skoda. While in the football, the Waterford team welcome Limerick to Fairfield on Saturday night for the Munster Senior Football Championship quarter-final. The Dacia are without a provincial championship win since 2010 when they defeated Clare in the Fairfield. Waterford played their first competitive game since March the 1st last weekend as they lost to Antrim in their final round of the Alliance National Football League. Speaking to WLR Sport, the Waterford selector Frank Ryan says they've introduced plenty of young players into the panel of the under-20 squad from earlier in the year.
They jumped at the chance. They came in, they grabbed it with both hands. You know, it's a learning curve for them, because it's the physicality of the opposition and what have you be playing against, and even the intensity in training is up a notch for them. But they're all we're well aware of the quality that they have coming in, and it adds to the squad, and it give guys they're looking over their shoulder wondering, have I the jersey, or is this young guy going to take it off me? So that's great for the squad mentality.
Throw-in is at 7 o'clock in the Fairfield, and the game will also be broadcast live on WLR thanks to George Corbett Skoda with the commentary team of Gavin Whelan and Stephen Cunningham. While on to the LGFA, where intercounty ladies footballers are set to receive funding towards travel expenses for the first time. The LGFA have informed county boards across the country that female intercounty players are to receive 50 cent per mile towards their travel for the qualifying rounds of the All-Ireland Championship. To date, only 7% of female intercounty players receive expenses towards representing their county. The freelance sports writer Cliona Foley has more.
They've kind of done a survey over the last 6 years and they found that it's still 7%. And actually, they say that of those 7%, it's not necessarily the successful counties. It's very randomly done and it depends on, who's in charge in a county board, if you like.
While in rugby, Gail Ficou will replace the injured Teddy Thomas on the left wing for France in the team to play Ireland in Saturday's Six Nations showdown in Paris. Arthur Vincent gets the nod at inside centre. While in horse racing, today's meeting is at Clonmel from 1:20. Sports news on WLR is thanks to Virgin Media Waterford. WLR asks you to keep Waterford safe by staying at home and travelling for essential purposes only.